Baseball is a game of power.
You can forget about this one.
Precision.
Strike three called. Got it.
And performance.
Oh, my goodness.
Grit and glory.
We will see you tomorrow night.
And in 2011, we not only saw the beauty of baseball, we also witnessed its unique ability to transcend the game itself, providing inspirational life stories as compelling as they are diverse. Like the remarkable vision of a legally blind hitting coach.
I've got to win their trust, and I mean, I got to win it.
The saga of a pair of former college teammates forever linked by a tragedy and goodwill.
Thank Texas Rangers for what they did. It's keeping us together, even though we went through the worst.
The man who, as a boy, claims he saw Babe Ruth call his shot.
After nearly 80 years, I can still remember very clearly what took place.
A milestone achieved by one of the game's greatest ambassadors.
Number 600 for Jim Thome.
And the inspiring resurgence of a player who got to stage a championship comeback. These are the stories that take us beyond the box score. These are the game's tales of triumph.
Turn in a little more, big guy. There you go. That's extension. See, that time, he went all the way through. He got it all. I'm Mark Wetzel. I've been a hitting coach for about 30 years now. Got a babe. Less is best. Takes hard work to relax, right? I've worked with all types. The little leaguers, the high school kids, even Hall of Famers. My story may not be that unique or different, except for the fact I'm legally blind.
In a batting cage just a few feet downwind from his home in Omaha, Nebraska, Mark Wetzel is hard at work tweaking the swings of some 100 students.
Got it, boy. That's better, that's better, that's better.
Mark can't recognize the faces of his students.
Back right now. Who we got in there? Nick, and who I got over there, Nate? Nate over here.
But he has a unique vision of their swings and is doing his best to turn doubters into believers.
You hear someone saying a blind hitting guy, then people are thinking, well, how can he see?
Well, I've got to win their trust, and I mean, I got to win it. They don't owe me anything. You're still adding. Come on. A struggling hitter will come in, and within a shorter period of time, he'll become one of the best hitters on the team. There you go. So naturally, the other people will look at that and say, well, where'd this come from?
Mark first became afflicted with macular degeneration as a 14-year-old boy. It's a disease that causes the loss of one's central vision.
I see fingers at 2 to 3 feet. I don't read headlines. I don't know my wife by her face.
Unable to dissect a hitter's swing by looking directly at it, he instead uses the light and shadows in the corners of his eyes to paint a picture.
Yeah, the boy. Let's square it up, baby. I can see you move. I can see you put your hand up. I can't count my fingers, but I seen that movement.
I still don't understand how he sees half these things. We'll sit there and watch swings for hours, and he'll always nudge me. You see that? You see that?
Look how loose he was on that finish. See how loose he was, Coach?
Yes, sir. I'm just hoping that one day I can start seeing it quite that well.
For some reason, I can look at your hands and at the same time see your front foot. I told Tony Gwynn that. He'd look at me like, wow.
It is remarkable that this legally blind hitting instructor has the backing of a lifetime .338 hitter and a Hall of Famer.
He gets that quick bat out there. That's why he's one of the greatest hitters of all time.
I met him through Merv Rettman. Merv Rettman was our hitting coach. I'm in the cage. Merv is flipping me balls. Wetz is standing outside the cage.
And I said, I saw your hands come forward and set down before your front foot hit.
He said, well, Tony, you know why I can tell? Because I don't hear your front foot land on the ground. And I was like, what? I never thought of it like that.
He says, you know, most us hitters, we got pretty good ego. He says, here comes this blind guy telling me what he seen me did wrong. He says, you know what, he was right. So, we have a great relationship.
Mark has a lifetime's worth of accolades like these, tributes to a man who never for a second let his impaired vision stand in the way of his love for teaching baseball.
A lot of people just think he's a hitting instructor, and he's more of an inspiration than that. He gets a lot more accomplished in one day than most people do with perfect eyesight. I don't know how you couldn't be inspired by that.
I think this little bit of a bump in the road I've had here has made me understand working harder, I can accomplish anything I want. And that being said, I'm able to now change other people's lives with that philosophy. I wouldn't change a thing.
Let's play some good baseball and let's enjoy it.
Yeah, have a good one.
Good.
All right, have a good one. All right, good luck to you. All right.
Like Mark Wetzel, former Major League player Curtis Pride had an obstacle to overcome to take part in the game he so loves.
You know the story of Curtis Pride, I'm sure. He is deaf, and so he really has to keep focused on the game.
It's always been my goal since I was little kids to be a professional baseball player, and you take a lot of hard work.
In 1993, his hard work paid off when the Montreal Expos called him up.
Curtis Pride with a line drive into left field. Has hit his way on. Well hit to center field.
Looks up and it's out of here.
Driven along the line, and Pride caught it!
Think about playing the outfield, trying to hear the ball off the bat. He can't do that, yet he still reacts and makes plays.
It's an awesome feeling. Not only is he making, but also to become a productive player.
Hit high in the air to deep center. On the track, he's at the wall. She's gone! Curtis Pride has hit a home run in his first game as a Yankee.
Overcoming a lot of obstacles, prove a lot of people wrong that, hey, I have the ability to play in the big league, even though I have a hearing disability.
Curtis played 11 years for 6 different teams, and it was his time with the Angels that laid the groundwork for his life after the pros.
My soldier kept telling me, hey, you can make a great coach.
He was always talking the game of baseball, always dissecting little things and wondering what was important in creating offense. He has a great grasp of it, and he's a natural teacher.
Come on, let's go, come on.
So it's no surprise that you can find Curtis today at Gallaudet University in Washington, D.C., where he's the Bison head coach.
Be aggressive. 1, 2, 3, go.
This university for the deaf is the perfect home for Pride, for who better to learn from than a man like them who achieved his goal.
I looked at the challenge for me, not only to work with the deaf kid, but also to help turn the baseball program around. All right, let's go. Gallaudet has to have a history of losing season. You gotta really focus on this game, all right? You can't worry about what's going on out there, all right? I know you lost your focus. A lot of the teams that we play against, they'll respect us. That's why I'm here, because I want to teach them, hey, the only way we get our respect is by playing well, be competitive, and win the ball games. Got nervous, got scared, understandable. But hey, be aggressive, that's just the way it's going, be aggressive.
It's an awesome experience to have him as a coach. And having an MLB player going around, it's like a mentor for everyone. For an example, today, first time when I got the ball out in the outfield, I was a little slow. He told me fasten up, don't take a bigger hop. And that's why I was able to throw the guy out at home. I mean, you learn so much from the guy.
Well, the players are obviously hearing Curtis loud and clear as Gallaudet recently set the school record for wins, breaking a mark that stood for 112 years.
Yeah! We're headed in the right direction. Come on. And it's gonna take some time, but I really believe we can get there. Pitch is hit all over the place. But look for the pitch that you can run, make sure you hit ball hard.
His experience in professional baseball and what he had learned, and it taught us to translate that to help us to improve our skills. It makes us more motivated to play for him.
I've always considered myself as a role model. I've overcame my disabilities, achieved my dream, that give them hope that they can accomplish their own dream if they just stay focused, work hard, and believe that anything is possible.
We now return to Tales of Triumph.
A tremendous atmosphere here at Rogers Center, a sold-out house.
The fans, they've got the towels, they're out there waving.
Swinging a drive, left field, this ball is out of here!
Picking up where he left off last year.
He is Jose Bautista, the Blue Jays all-star outfielder whose remarkable season in 2010 is a story worth telling time and time again.
Jose Bautista drives this to deep left field.
It was great to see him get a chance to get in there every day last year and really show what he's capable of doing.
He is on some kind of home run tear right now.
He's a complete as player as you can get on the field.
I don't care where you put him. He comes up big defensively.
It's amazing from when we got this guy to what he is today, how far this guy has come. It is incredible.
Consider that in 2004, Jose was a baseball nomad, struggling mightily while becoming the only man since 1901 to play for 4 different teams his first season in the majors.
In 41 games this year with Baltimore, Tampa Bay, and Kansas City, getting 208. Bautista lost by the Pirates in the Rule 5 draft last December. Now he's back.
It affected me a little bit. The negative was that I didn't get to play that much.
Jose Bautista, the pinch hitter.
When you're coming off the bench, your focus is more on getting the results and not the things that you need to improve.
Bautista, in his first plate appearance for the Pirates, strikes out.
It kind of hindered my development a little bit and slowed it down.
Jose played 400 games with the Pirates, but then in August of 2008, he was on the move again. Bautista had been traded to the Blue Jays, and it was there that manager Cito Gaston and hitting coach Dwayne Murphy noticed something in Jose's swing and set to work tapping into that potential.
They did point out quickly that my timing was off and my rhythm was off. We worked on changing the rhythm up and starting way earlier, which felt unbelievably uncomfortable at first. After a whole year and a half of working at it, finally started feeling better.
The way he has been swinging it, he's going to hurt you and hurt you bad.
Joey Bats changed the swing a little bit, and I would venture to say it was working for him.
Working is an understatement. All he did in 2010 was lead the majors in home runs and extra base hits.
It was a magical season. You feel like you can hit any pitch.
You gotta be kidding me.
We all were surprised, shocked, amazed, stunned. I don't think anybody would have predicted the number of home runs.
That ball's up, and there she goes. Jose Bautista's 54th.
Jose could finally unpack his bags, for the Blue Jays rewarded his breakout season and determination with a 5-year contract.
I think the confidence that the team has shown in me by giving me this contract is going to allow me to relax more and just try to be that guy to lead this team.
Bautista won the Silver Slugger Award for his amazing year in 2010, and he was eager to prove that the power he displayed was no fluke.
Swing and a drive. You can forget about this one.
And sure enough, in 2011, he picked up right where he left off.
Wow, this guy is just something.
He not only became the first Blue Jay ever to lead the majors in all-star votes.
7.5 million votes for Bautista.
He also became the first man in Toronto franchise history to win the Major League home run title in back-to-back seasons.
2-run shot. Blue Jays back on top.
I think it's safe to say it hasn't been a fluke.
Although Jose's 97 home runs these past 2 years is quite impressive.
Oh, did he give that a ride?
Back-to-back years of at least 40.
He's still got a long way to go to match the career total of one of the game's all-time sluggers.
Here's a drive to deep center. It's gone! Jim Thome with another incredible chapter in his storybook career.
Jim Thome has been loved everywhere he's played, like in Chicago.
You're the man.
Hey, no, I'm not the man.
No, you're the man.
You are, buddy.
Jim hit 134 of his home runs with the Sox, including number 500.
Number 500 for Jim Thome. A game winner here in the bottom of the ninth inning as the Sox win it.
Thome moved on to Minnesota in 2010, and that year found himself with the key to a most exclusive club.
And he's finally on the doorstep of 600 with 599. High fly ball, left field, hit well. Young going back to the track, to the wall. It's gone! And Jim Thome has become the 8th player in Major League history to hit his 600th home run.
It seemed almost natural that Jim would eventually reach the 600 mark, for he has long been one of the game's most productive players.
His talent as a hitter and player speaks for itself.
Charlie should know, for he watched Thome develop in Cleveland's minor league system before Jim finally reached the major leagues in 1991.
Thome launches one to left.
And Jim was determined to succeed.
For me, having a good plan for every game going in, I think has helped me be a guy that could make an impact in that game.
Back on the wall, and that is gone.
Number 400 for Jim Thome. It is out of here.
And on every team the five-time All-Star would play in his career, one thing remained constant.
We love you. Yeah, that's it.
Jim is indeed one of the game's most beloved figures, except maybe by pitchers.
The guy I at least like to see walking to the plate, for me, it's always been Jim Thome.
You can put it on the board. Yes!
Few have reached the numbers Jim has attained, but many have been gifted with his lessons.
Anytime you get around a guy like that, you want to pick their brain, you want to see what they do every day, you want to see how they go about their business. You don't play as long as he has without doing something right.
Jim Thome becomes the 8th man in the history of Major League Baseball to hit 600 home runs. And the respect that he has earned through a long and productive career is on full display as in Detroit they stand and applaud.
Congratulations, Jim Thome.
He sets a good example for Major League Baseball, and I'm proud of Jimmy.
In the air, shallow right. The Texas Rangers win the pennant. Second consecutive year.
One of the keys to the Rangers' recent success has been their shrewd evaluation and development of young talent, which is why a pair of University of Georgia teammates piqued their interest.
You want every kid to be like Zach Cohn and Jonathan Taylor. Great teammates, great role models, 3 years, best of friends.
Zach, for us, is maybe the best athlete in college baseball. He has a chance to, to steal bases, defend in center, hit with power. Really a 5-tool type player.
Jonathan was on our follow list as a really interesting athlete, kind of a two-way guy that could really defend.
This one's hit out to left. JT coming on. He'll make the catch.
But in March of 2011, a month into their junior season, the lives of Zach and JT were drastically altered when they both tried to make a catch.
The way JT and Zach approached every ball game, if it was in their area, they were going to go get it and make the play.
But in their effort to make this play, the two friends had a horrific collision in left center field, and for the longest time, they laid prone on the ground.
Just a terrible, terrible collision. It's hoping, something that you never see again, that's for sure.
Zach Cohn did get up, but his teammate was not so fortunate. And after reaching the hospital, it was determined that JT was paralyzed.
That's one of your best friends, like your brother, It was tough, but I talked to him the night of the injury in the hospital, and he made it seem like I'm not dying, so everything's gonna be all right.
JT maintained that state of mind after being transferred to a rehab facility to begin his long road to recovery.
Jonathan handled it head on and said he was going to attack this, he was going to get better, and I think we fed off of that.
With JT always in their thoughts, the Bulldogs reached the NCAA regional final, but the memory of the accident weighed heavily on Zach.
Well, I think emotionally it affected them from that point forward. And so his numbers were down a little bit this year. But I think the Texas Rangers realized that.
With the 37th selection of the 2011 first-year player draft, the Texas Rangers select Zach Cohn, an outfielder from University of Georgia.
The Rangers looked past Zach's final year stats and focused instead on his potential.
We want to try to find impact players, and our feeling was if Zach puts his abilities together with his makeup and his aptitude, he's got a chance to be a good player.
But Texas had seen the same qualities in JT, and what they did next spoke volumes.
Jonathan Taylor was a guy we were very interested in even before the accident. I brought this to the attention of our scouting director and told him, I said, hey, this guy deserves to be drafted. I think it'll lift his spirits.
And when the Rangers made JT their pick in the 33rd round, it did just that.
He thought I was joking. He thought I was pulling his leg. When I called him, I was the first one that got to him, and he didn't believe me.
Coach first called me, he was like, congratulations. He got drafted by Texas Rangers. Like, you're kidding me, right? He's like, nah, you got all over TV and everything. I was like, oh, this is crazy.
I went and saw him that night, and, he's the biggest smile on his face, like, as always.
Those smiles got even brighter when JT and Zach were introduced to the media.
We want high character, high makeup players that have talent, and we feel we got that here today.
Then it was off to the clubhouse to meet some of the 2011 Rangers.
Good to see you.
Good spirits? What's up, man? What's up, man? How you doing? Nice to meet you, man. Always. Nice to meet you. What's up, man?
What's that?
Doing good?
Nice to meet you. I didn't really know much about the organization, but I mean, after what they did for JT and, just get the privilege to be with them is really exciting.
You seem to be in good spirits.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Gotta be.
Gotta be.
Thank the Texas Rangers, for what they did for me. It's a lot of respect for me. They seen more than just a player in me. Really thankful for what they did.
And the fact that it was the team that drafted his good friend Zach Cohn, those guys, they've been teammates for a long time, and they're still going to be teammates now being with the Rangers.
1, 2, 3, hit it! RBI, or Reviving Baseball in Inner Cities, goes beyond the game to provide opportunities for inner city youth they might not otherwise have had.
And family on 3. 1, 2, 3,
For Daryl Velez, RBI has been a gift.
Since the age of 11, 12, he was the one that was always facing adversity.
I had problems at home, a lot of problems at home. Parents, my mom, a single parent.
Daryl fell into a life of crime in Jersey City. He dropped out of school, was kicked out of his house, and began selling drugs just to survive.
Seeing his brother getting involved in that lifestyle, and also the area that he lived in was high drug, high crime, he kind of sort of looked up to that.
I had just no other option. It's either that I just live in the streets.
But Daryl finally took notice of what was going on around him.
I lost like 3 friends over the last 4 years over drugs and gangs. The same thing I was doing, they died over it. I got lucky. I felt like I was the next one, so I stopped. I gave everything up.
And at the age of 16, he took up baseball full-time through the RBI program.
Daryl Velez epitomizes what RBI is about. He's an inner city youth with many struggles in life, was a good kid, but he ran the streets, had no structure.
So he began to build a new foundation at Pershing Field in Jersey City. But Daryl knew success was not guaranteed.
He knew that he had to give it 100% here, and he knew that he had coaches that believed in him.
Daryl has to go through on the ground.
Coaches always pushed me, keeping me on the field.
Not only was Daryl finally off the streets, he was also developing into quite a baseball talent.
His biggest asset is his speed and athleticism. He's just a game changer.
And baseball through RBI was becoming a life changer too.
He started to put himself in the right path. He started to go to night school.
And I'm not going back. I'm gonna take this and go right up. Take it to the sky.
Truer words were never spoken, for when Daryl's RBI team played in Minnesota, he caught the eye of a scout from a small college in Iowa who offered him a scholarship to play the next spring.
Well, at first I couldn't even believe it. And then I spoke to Joe, and he's like, get ready, you're going to college. And I was like, no way, I couldn't believe it.
But he still needed to get there, so his RBI coaches and the community came together to raise the necessary funds.
We're gonna do what we have to do to get him everything he needs to get out there and make it work.
This is your ticket. This is the bag of the receipt. We're gonna go with this all taken care of. I never thought I was gonna leave this little field there. I thought I was gonna just stay here for the rest of my life and play on this field for fun. I'm gonna miss it.
Like I said, I'm losing my second son here.
RBI being involved with us is giving Daryl the opportunity to now further his education.
What's the most important thing? Student, athlete. That's the mission.
Daryl's struggled his whole life through a lot of obstacles and a lot of barriers, and this is definitely overcoming one of them now.
It's been quite a journey for Darryl Velez, from a life of despair to a future that's oh so bright.
I told him, this is the second chance, not for baseball, not for school, for life.
8 months from now, Darryl's gonna have his GED. He's gonna have finished his college season. It's not over now. You know, it's just begun.
I see kids coming in and out of RBI, kids going pro, and it just opens your eyes, and there's just more opportunities, just not to give up.
Welcome back to Tales of Triumph. Rick Eckstein is the hitting coach for the Washington Nationals.
Jason Worth going over to Rick Eckstein. Getting a lot of information right there.
His younger brother David played 10 big league seasons, winning 2 championships and a World Series MVP award in 2006. But the bond between these brothers goes beyond baseball. You see, Rick and David were both spared from a rare form of kidney disease that has afflicted much of the Eckstein family. Their father, Whitey, was diagnosed with the condition, which ultimately leads to kidney failure.
These are rare diseases. Typically, their kind of disease is one person in a family will get it, maybe 2. But this has pervaded 3 generations of their family.
The debilitating disease has also struck their sisters, Christine and Susan, and their older brother, Ken. Their father and all 3 siblings have received kidney transplants.
Growing up, they're wondering if they're gonna live, and I'm, out on the baseball field with my brother playing.
The 2 brothers, they were spared of kidney disease, and just talking to them, they've always told me they always felt guilty. But I think as they've grown up, they realize, well, that's why I've been spared, is to help the other siblings if they need a transplant ever in their lives.
Once we found out that Susan, Christine, and Kenny had the problem, we knew at some point in time Rick and I would have to donate. So it's just part of our life right now.
That time came in 2010, when Ken, who had undergone a kidney transplant about 20 years earlier, was told that the kidney had begun to fail. That's when Rick came to the rescue. For after learning that he was a good match, he showed the true meaning of brotherly love.
When he first told me that he was my blood type and wanted to donate to me, my first reaction was, listen, I don't want this to impact your career. I mean, he makes his living using his body.
I knew that my brother was going to think, I don't want his kidney because of his career, he uses his body, and I didn't give him that choice. I told him I was doing it.
So on December 8th of 2010, a team of doctors at a special transplant center in Florida successfully removed one of Rick's kidneys and gave it to Ken. And the recoveries of both brothers went remarkably well.
Every time someone asks me about how's Ken doing, I start getting emotional because to see him thrive since the surgery and how he's come alive.
Hold it back a little bit, okay? And so when you come across, okay?
It gives me an extra boost. Base hit.
I was very overwhelmed and appreciative. And what I didn't know either was David actually put his name in to potentially donate if Ricky wasn't going to be a match. It's what being a family and being human is all about.
While the procedure was a success, Ken, Rick, and the entire Eckstein family realize that their future will always be uncertain. But no matter how relentless this illness might be, it can't possibly be tougher than the family bond the Ecksteins will always have for each other.
Sometimes people have a medical problem in the family. It actually splits families apart. I think this is the opposite. It's kept the family all close together. This is their mission, to help each other and to take care of each other. Pretty much he's giving you the gift of life.
The gift of life is right.
That's the big thing.
You hear everybody say, I give my right arm for this person, but Rick literally gave his right kidney for his brother, and that's a tremendous, tremendous thing to do.
It made me feel so privileged to have these types of people in my life who would love me enough to sacrifice an organ for me. It's given me my life back.
I am a giver. It's how I operate. In the field of coaching, that's what you do. You give of yourself, physically, mentally, psychologically, and being able to physically give to my brother that way, it opened up a dimension I'd never experienced before. It's pretty neat.
Like David Eckstein, former White Sox closer Sergio Santos began his pro career as a middle infielder.
This is going to be interesting.
No doubt about that. For the journey of Santos to the majors was far from typical.
The Diamondbacks' #1 pick as a shortstop back in 2002.
He was then traded to Toronto and bounced around the minors to 2 other teams before eventually being obtained by the White Sox in 2009.
You got the better end of that. I'm going to go with the White Sox.
That's because Chicago saw potential in Sergio's arm and had the vision to change him from an infielder to a pitcher.
You're literally teaching him all the things that instinctively some pitchers learn. You know the situation now. Okay, here we go.
It was definitely one of the toughest decisions I've ever had to make.
Stop it, hold it, and go. There you go.
I felt like I could still be a big league shortstop or a big league third baseman, and to really walk away from that was tough.
I don't think this has ever been done before, what I'm about to do.
Converting position players to pitchers is relatively uncommon. What made Sergio so special was that he was able to reach a big league mound just 1 year after he made the transition.
He made the team in my mind from the first outing he threw. Attaboy. You knew he had to be on our club.
He's ready. He's ready.
It was in the spring of 2010 when Sergio got the words he longed to hear, and it was an emotional time for everyone involved.
You should call your dad and tell him to meet you in Chicago, because you're going to be pitching for the White Sox.
I will do.
Well, it's a good moment because there's many, many times you're bringing guys to sit on the couch and giving them bad news. In this case, it was a happy message we were delivering, and it was one that he had waited for a long, long time.
Pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
Pretty good. You earned it. You earned it, man. Feel good. It's okay.
It was such a great moment, not only for me, but for so many other people who sacrificed so much in order for me to be in that position.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just a long time coming.
Yeah.
And I feel good. I mean, it's not just for me, it's for a lot of people, so.
I think that's one of the biggest news I ever give to anybody out of spring training. There's nothing more excited to see one of the kids making the ball club.
Walter, why you cry here? Don't make me cry in June.
After 8 years in 2 decidedly different positions, Santos had made the club.
I called my mom and dad and let them know. Told me that I'm going to Chicago. It was just such a happy day, just because I know how much my parents sacrificed in order for me to have what I had growing up, and to be able to tell them our dream came true, it was nice.
Since then, Sergio has taken full advantage of his second baseball life.
This ball game is over!
Santos saved 30 games for the Sox in 2011. Now with the Blue Jays once again, there's reason to believe he can continue to get even better.
Once I got the opportunity, I said I'm gonna try to make the most of it, just like that second chance in becoming a pitcher.
To say that this guy is having a good year would be an understatement.
What he means to the club is huge because we're giving him the responsibility of getting the last 3 outs in winning situations.
It's quite a task for any pitcher. For someone who's only been pitching 3 years, it's nothing short of remarkable.
He's really been the key to the turnaround for this White Sox ball club.
If you have that positive approach of having that confidence that you can get the job done, it can take you to heights that you've never even imagined.
We now return to Tales of Triumph. When fans stream into ballparks across the land, there's always the chance they might witness the kind of magical moment that took place almost 80 years ago.
The called shot is the great controversy in baseball, and Babe Ruth is one of our great mythical figures because he understood who he was. He subscribed to the myth. He signed on for it after it happened.
I will say that I've had thrills before. Something like hitting a home run in Chicago that time. The Lord was with me when I called the shot.
It was the 5th inning of Game 3 of the 1932 World Series.
Count goes to 2-2 eventually, and at that point, Ruth raises his hand and points.
So we know that he pointed. What we don't know is what he's pointing at. But the fact is that after he points, he hits the next pitch, the longest home run in the history of Wrigley Field to this day.
Well, who would have a better take on the event than someone who had one of the best views of the moment as it unfolded? For he was sitting next to his uncle, baseball's first commissioner, Kennesaw Mountain Landis.
After nearly 80 years, I can still remember very clearly what took place I had the best seat in the house. I was next to the Cubs dugout, looking at home plate and face-to-face for left-handed batters.
Well, at this one particular time when I went to bat,
What was striking to me was the fact that the fans were razzing Babe Ruth as he came to the plate.
So the boys over there would give me this on you.
The back and forth grew in pitch with each pitch and reached a crescendo when Ruth got 2 strikes on him.
Before occupying the batter's box for the next pitch, he pointed up in the air towards center field.
And I looked out at center field and I poured it.
Wow. He was telling the fans he was going to knock a homer out to center field.
I said, I'm going to hit the next pitch ball right past the flagpole. Well, the good Lord must have been with us.
The fans went crazy. The reason why I remember it and why those Chicago fans were impressed was because he called his shot. This particular event was burned in my mind.
And yet somehow the called shot has endured through baseball history as something many consider a mythic event.
I realized that there was some controversy about this. Well, what nonsense, what foolishness. I knew better.
Seeking to support his story, Lincoln turned to his son Tim for help.
Well, I had grown up hearing my dad talk about his memories of the 3rd game of the 32 World Series. So, I mean, I'm as familiar with the story as anybody. My dad mentioned to me that he thought that there might be a photograph of Judge Landis taken at the 32 World Series, and if it were possibly from the correct game and taken from the correct angle, that my dad, as a young boy, might be visible in the photograph.
It took some time, but Tim eventually secured an old photo from Game 3, one that featured a familiar face.
And sure enough, it was Judge Landis in his box, and it was taken from the judge's right, and to his left, you could see a small boy sitting there. I realized, of course, it had to be him. That certainly was the biggest thrill that I've ever gotten.
I was thrilled to see this picture of me and my uncle. I could not believe that I was holding this picture in my hand.
It was just such an incredible connection with my dad and with my great uncle and with the past. Also, it was just such a great proof of what my dad had been saying all these years.
Were this a courtroom, Lincoln would have been sworn in as a primary witness, and his firsthand account only adds to the intrigue of an epic moment that will forever live on in our baseball consciousness. Tales of Triumph continues. San Diego was home for 16 seasons of the incredible pitching career of Trevor Hoffman. And in August of 2011, the Padres honored Trevor with a sun-drenched ceremony to officially retire his number.
Did you get mic'd up too? No. I thought you were going to get mic'd up.
Heck no.
En route, Trevor reflected on his record-setting career, one that began in Florida before flourishing in San Diego. Just like his brother Glenn Hoffman, the Padres' current third base coach, believed it would.
18 years shouldn't have gone as fast as it did, but coming to San Diego, my older brother Glenn said, hey, it's going to be the best move of your career. And as it turned out, it was.
Struck him out, and that's the ball game. Nobody does it better.
Game in, game out, game over. That was Hoffman's mantra as he racked up saves at an unprecedented volume with a devastating pitch.
The changeup for the strikeout.
Obviously, some individual milestones have been great.
Trevor Hoffman has become the all-time saves leader in Major League Baseball history.
But the team success has always been something that it's kind of been a priority. I enjoyed playing the game. I played it because I enjoyed doing it with my teammates. The accolades that came along with it were a bonus.
It was fait accompli that San Diego would retire the number of the first man in baseball to save 600 games. But Trevor still felt some ceremonial jitters.
Hi, guys. Thanks for coming. Can't prepare for this, you know? Just kind of let it fly.
He approached the occasion as if it were a game, one where, at some point, he knew he'd be called upon to deliver.
This is like being in we're about the 6th inning right now. You see the game building, you know you got a shot at getting in there.
Today, the Padres bestow upon him the highest honor that they can.
It's so cool, Dad.
It is pretty cool, buddy.
As they retire his number 51.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I direct your attention to
Well, of course, of all places, the Padre bullpen.
The fans knew it was Trevor time the moment they heard his signature song.
Here are the bells. Here comes Trevor Hoffman. And number 51, Trevor Hoffman.
Trevor, you're not only revered as a great teammate, but as a great person. It's an incredibly special day for all of us, and we're proud to unveil the number 51 atop the batter's eye.
Pretty big day. That is awesome, man. That is so awesome. Today is an emotional day. It's a special day. We definitely walked down memory lane, didn't we? What up, boys? You guys poodle up nice. Poodle up nice. Bring your gloves. Seeing all my former teammates and stuff coming out. I'm overwhelmed, man. What are you doing? Love you, man. Love you too, kid. Congratulations for being here. My brother. I've had an opportunity to go across the major leagues and see a lot of the numbers that are displayed proudly in each ballpark, and you understand who they represent and what they stood for. But when I look up there and I see that number, I want you guys to remember that that guy cared about being a teammate and that he understood that to achieve true success, there's no shortcuts. Thank you. I mean, it was just an amazing roller coaster of emotions today. And it just kept crescendoing. It just kept getting better and better. And thanks for being here. Thank you. Thank you.
We now return to Tales of Triumph.
Here's Lance Berkman, who has stunned the National League. Leading the NL in slugging percentage, leading in on-base percentage.
And no one in baseball saw this coming.
Many wondered what Berkman had left in the tank. Last year, his worst season as an everyday player in the major leagues.
I felt like in my heart, last year was not an indication of where I was from a skill standpoint. I didn't feel like I had gone downhill that much and certainly felt like I had a lot more to offer.
It's possible that the six-time All-Star tried to come back too soon in 2010 following off-season knee surgery.
I don't want to say, well, I had a bad year last year because of my knee, but it certainly was a factor that didn't help me any.
But Lance struggled, and so did the Astros.
Strike call, game over.
Another difficult one for the Astros tonight.
Before last year, I thought that I would end up finishing my career there. It kind of deteriorated in a hurry.
Most definitely out of contention by mid-season, Houston made a move.
There are reports that Lance Berkman may be heading to the New York Yankees.
It just shows you from year to year things change really quickly, and you could start out intending to do one thing and end up somewhere totally different.
But Lance continued to struggle while adapting to a new league in a new role as DH.
He's a guy who hit third and fourth his whole career with Houston, and now all of a sudden he's asked to hit seventh or eighth.
At that point, I knew I was going to be a free agent at the end of the season, and started to contemplate, what are some other places I would enjoy playing, and certainly St. Louis came right into my mind.
The Cardinals knew this premier switch hitter only too well from their postseason matchups throughout the years.
Tony La Russa is completely convinced that Lance Berkman can swing it.
Problem was, St. Louis had an all-star first baseman, so Lance would have to return to the position he played earlier in his career.
Felt like I could still run well enough to be in the outfield, so my first priority was to get my legs strong and then to get into good shape. So I did a lot of running this off season, like I was training for a track meet, and it paid off.
Little flare into right. Berkman diving. Oh, what a play!
And who was saying he can't play the outfield?
For 35 years old and 4 knee surgeries, I feel pretty good.
He's healthy, and he's feeling good.
Lance did just fine in the outfield, but it was at the plate where he experienced a dramatic renaissance.
First pitch to him. Fly ball. Center field. This'll do it. Berkman wins it for St. Louis.
I'm getting an opportunity to play on a very good offensive team, which is really helpful.
He turned the heart of the Cardinals lineup from a dynamic duo into a terrifying trio.
I mean, when you're hitting behind a guy like Albert Pujols and Matt Holliday,
that middle of the order is pretty deadly.
You're kind of in the catbird seat. You know, you get a chance to hit with guys on base a lot.
Opposite field home run, Berkman, his 4th of the series.
Lance has been a big pickup for us. He's come in here ready to go and, hasn't missed a step. It seems like, he's put last year behind him and come in here and done a great job.
You never know how a free agent will pan out, but Lance was off the charts.
This has been the signing of the year so far in baseball. Berkman has just been everything they could have asked for.
More than anything, he's a great teammate. He's just the guy that lightens up the clubhouse. When he comes in, it's just like everybody kind of gets in a better mood. He's excited to be here.
He was a great addition for us, and we wouldn't be where we're at without him.
It's been outstanding. I mean, this is a great place to play baseball. I feel good this year, and the results are a lot better, and I'm hopeful that it will continue and just, be able to chalk last year up to the injury and move on.
Well, Lance and the Cardinals certainly did move on. Right into the 2011 postseason, where in his first playoff at bat as a Cardinal, Lance sent a message.
Berkman, it's a fly ball to right field, way back and gone. Lance Berkman on the first pitch.
St. Louis reached the Fall Classic, where Berkman batted a team-high .423 in the 7-game series. And his 10th inning game-tying hit in Game 6 will live on in the minds of Redbird fans forever.
Cardinals are down to their last strike, and the Rangers are 1 strike away. In the air to right center. This game is tied.
St. Louis won it all, capping a year in which Berkman was named Comeback Player of the Year, a fitting postscript to this tale of triumph.
You can't really put into words the sense of accomplishment, the joy, the exhilaration that you feel when something like that happens. Just a wonderful experience all the way around.